All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the Lightroom app on iPad. So we're going to start on iPad or iPad Pro. This should work just fine with any iPad. So open up here, and I created a folder for the demonstration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 photos we'll go over today. So I'll edit these using the free presets, and then we'll go through the process of doing that as well on iOS or iPhone, and then as well as on desktop. So first, let's pick a simple photo. When I say simple, meaning this is one I've edited several times over. So it's kind of a really fast edit for myself, and that is this awesome landscape shot that I got while in Norway. A lot of detail in the mountains. This is actually 2 photos stitched together I shot on A7 III with an 85mm lens. So the next thing we'll do is we'll actually not even go into the adjustments panel up here on the top right. And what we'll do is we'll actually go right into the presets, because the first preset that we'll go over, this black and white one. We'll tap here. All right, now that we've quickly applied this preset, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a look at some of the other areas where we can kind of take advantage of the detail and create some more drama around this photo. We'll go into selective edits. You can see a series of squares and dots and everything of kind of where I've put in areas to darken or lighten. Now, when you put these into your photos, these are going to be the stock areas and where they will be when you first start. So what I would suggest you do is apply the preset and then start taking a look at what works for your photo. So for example, here on this graduated filter, if we want to brighten this up, make the landscape a bit more broader, we can do that over here, or we can darken it up. So really we want to create focus around one piece. And here's just something to even bring it up, but that tone's just a little bit more and that nice contrast. And each one of these dots here is another area that I wanted to brighten up, so that way we can see a little bit more about what this all has to do with the centerpiece here, which is the detail of this part of this mountain. Now, like I said, this was actually designed for this particular photo. So what we're going to do next is we are going to go into the next photo here. And we'll go into one that was not designed for this photo. And I want to see what happens when I apply a similar preset to this photo. Now, this is done also in Norway. I think even the same day I was driving around and saw these amazing farmlands, and so wanted to stop and take some photos. So awesome detail, great shot. This is shot in the 24mm G Master, the 1.4. So we'll go into presets. Once again, no edits or anything. There's the before, this is the after, this is the raw image straight out of camera. And let's go through the process of adding another black and white to it. So once again, this is let's go into black and white fine details. All right, so now this one's very dramatic, very darkened up quite a bit, and we'll go into that in just a second. But before we do, let's see what happens when we hit black and white one. So like I said, this is with the same graduated filters and radial filters in the same spots as the previous landscape. So you can see it actually does a pretty good job right off the bat, because we have that centerpiece, that horse being the brightest thing in there, except for that little glare of the sun, which we can get rid of later. But let's go back into black and white fine details. Now this one I've used a lot for center focused portraits, really dark, contrasty, fine details. Great for male portraits, not as much for female portraits. It really brings out all the wrinkles in the skin and everything. So let's apply this preset. Now let's go into our Let's go into our selective edits. We can see all the spots and all the edits available basically, and we want to expand this out so it's not that straight band of line right down there. So let's open this up a little bit. Let's expand this so it's a bit more. And actually, I'll probably just get rid of this one. Obviously, you don't have to keep any of the graduated filters. You get to use them as much as you are. Think of them as just kind of preset tools to help you spotlight certain things and really take advantage of some cool inspirational ideas to make this photo pop a bit more. All right, one thing I do want to do though is I do have this radial right here. Now this radial is set up to, oh, there we go, to brighten things up. Let's actually take this one and let's set it up to actually tone things down. We don't want that area to be so bright. Change exposure and the whites a little bit. And really we're not focusing on as much of that bright white spot. Now in another video I may just take it out completely and do another selective edit, but we'll take care of that later. So just after a couple quick movements, we have this very nice, sharp, detailed view of the horse, the hair. I might even change the crop on this as well to be portrait crop instead of landscape. Let's see what happens when I do that. Not bad. I think I like it with there. Now, I'll probably reduce the sharpening as well overall in this entire image. I think it's a little too harsh right now. And we can up the masking a little bit and then go from there. All right, so there's 2 full photos done on the iPad. Next, we're going to move to the iPhone. All right, everybody. So here we are back looking at the iPhone, and we are going to go through the process of doing a few edits here, and then we'll move to the last stop over on desktop. So once again, this is editing directly on Lightroom Mobile. So as part of this process, once again, we have just a little bit different of a UI than the iPad. It's a little bit more constrained. So this is great for on-the-go editing, but I would suggest using iPad or desktop for your final edits. You can really see the details of what's happening. Having things on the iPhone is a great way to export them real fast if you're going to post to Instagram or something like that, which is great. I know most of you do your edits on your phones and iPads as well. So let's jump right into the first image. That's one of my favorites. This was in Seoul, South Korea, at a tea house overlooking basically some of the landscape, and then you can see the sun setting in the background. Lost a lot of light very fast. Clouds were coming in, not the greatest of conditions basically, and so overall it just really was not a very inspiring photo at its rawest form. So we obviously want to lift the shadows. When we do that as well, when I did that originally, there still wasn't much color or thoughts or feelings behind this image, and like it really did not feel the way that I saw it, you know. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go into the presets. Once again, this is a preset based off of this particular edit. This photo will go into another photo and edit it where they didn't belong. So this one, obviously Feudal Vintage. So we can tap it and basically does all the jobs that I wanted it to do right off the bat. So really brings out kind of those like autumn looking tones, those browns and oranges, brings up the sun, adds a little tone to the sky. You can see a little bit of that mist in the background, which was actually there, which was great to make it happen or really bring it to light. And then obviously the fine details of the actual building itself really came out. Very happy about the output of this one. Once again, so let's apply this preset and then let's go to selective edits, and then you can see basically the different things that I have set up to add different gradients or graduated filters, as well as change the lighting of the sky and darkening of the sky. Now we'll go into another photo and we'll apply the same preset and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go into this other one. Also, same area of town, Seoul, South Korea. And then what we'll do here, so this was actually a tourist who was taking photos with a friend of walking down some of the older streets that are still very traditional. Great photo. So I took this photo, walked over to them afterwards, showed them that I took the photo, asked them if they wanted a copy. So by the way, if you do any type of street photography and you do take a photo of somebody, it's not a bad habit to go up and actually tell somebody that you took a photo of them and show them the picture. People are very receptive to that, especially if it's a really great candid street shot. And so her and a friend love this photo. We actually ended up like walking around for about an hour together, the three of us, all taking photos because they were dressed in very traditional garb, and it was just a great way to get some wonderful shots of the scenery. So let's go through the process. Presets, And then let's go right to Feudal Vintage. So I will jump into like Moody Green, Mountain Clarity a little bit, just so you can see the differences, what each one of these presets can do to any photo. So Mountain Clarity, hyped up the details, really make the front edge pop. It's very sharp. You know, it's not very soft, kind of lovely image. It's very harsh right now, so still not bad, not unhappy with it. It's kind of a cool idea, especially with the darker streets in the background. But I really want to capture the mood just a little bit more, so let's look into Moody Green. Cool, we're getting there, a little vintagey feel. It's great for the old town. The greens obviously work good, especially for this type of photo. But let's go to Feudal Vintage, and I'm liking this a lot better right now. So, but we see some things, obviously, like we see some banding here, and that's because of that graduated filter. There's some spots that I probably want to brighten up real quick, so let's just jump in, go to our selective edits, and honestly, let's open this up. Let's get rid of this guy, and that one's from the bottom up. Let's see what happens if that's not so bad. I like it, just a little bit of brightness on the bottom. Basically, you want actually the focus to be on the outfit and on the hand as much as I can. And then this one is for the corner, so we can just kind of darken up the street just a little bit. Let's change that. Cool. All in all, not a bad edit. I probably would add some vignetting to this just to see about what we can do to still bring in the center of the photo just a little bit more. There we go. There's just a little bit of vignetting. That makes me much, much happier. Probably a few more things I would touch up on. Sharpness, feathering, probably bring down the clarity just a little bit. Like I said, still a little abrasive, a little bit harsh, but I think those details will really pop out when you expand this out into a full print. I think for something like Instagram, you actually want to increase that sharpness to make sure you don't lose anything. But overall, once again, this is the second photo, the same preset. Very happy with this. It's a great way to start this photo and take it from the next level, basically. So if it's like a 1-2 punch kind of edit, you want to get it out there, I think these presets work very, very well. And this is how I kind of design them, especially while traveling. Let's do one more while we're here, just because I have the ability. This one's a super quick one. This one I took in the mountains of Bhutan. This was early morning, about 5 a.m. after spending the night at the top of the mountain in amongst residents. Really great experience. Very cold morning, and it snowed and iced over. So when we woke up, all we got was this crazy cool misty clouds all pouring through everything. So it was very hard to actually get a reasonable photo. And with all the clouds, the mist, the moisture in the air, we had this constant haze. And so this is the raw photo right here. It's very bland, you know, and everything. And I really didn't want to Instagram it up too much by adding too much color, too much contrast or anything. I really kind of just wanted to show the details of what I saw. So a little bit more kind of that National Geographic, that Nat Geo style of being true to form. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the preset. Obviously this one is designed for this one particular photo as well. Mountain Clarity. Actually, before we do, we'll do Warm Touch. Just so you can see what it looks like when we add colors and tones and everything. It's definitely quite moody. It's definitely quite a little bit more emotional. It changes the feel from that cold morning to like a warm sunrise. So overall, not bad. You know, I would produce this photo like this for Instagram, but because of my personal taste for this particular photo, I want to be a little bit more true to form. So let's get rid of that and let's go back to the original so you can see here. And then let's go to Mountain Clarity. Now, Mountain Clarity, really what it does is helps make that fog, that mist pop just a little bit more. Helps remove, the biggest thing is remove the haze. The haze, obviously we have a dehaze button, but on top of that with the graduated filters, we have basically this very nice, so once again, I dehazed the majority of this and changed a lot of the effects to have dehaze up, brightness, tones, and everything. And it's just a quick kind of 1-2 punch. So if you're taking big landscapes in that kind of like Norwegian landscape that I mentioned earlier, or something that's very far away that has that atmospheric haze to it, this is kind of a 1-2 punch to kind of get it back to normal. So first and foremost, let's jump into one of the local monkeys in Indonesia and Bali watching the sunrise with me. So this was a 3 a.m. hike all the way up to the top of the mountain. Once we got to the top, we were able to watch the sunrise, Mount Batur, which was a great experience. For anyone, I totally suggest doing it. It is a very touristy, but there's enough space that you don't really feel like you're very congested, and there is obviously no waiting lines like there is for some of those other touristy spots. Now, interesting part with photography sometimes is when you're looking at the subject, you know, the sunrise, how amazing it is, the clouds, the mountains and everything, everyone's looking the same direction. But this time when I was up there, well, this time, not like I've been there multiple times, but after taking all those pictures and really enjoying the experience, there's a lot of things happening around behind me. There was a bunch of monkeys searching for food, taking things from people. There was a guy playing guitar who kind of lives on top of that mountain, you know, and serves coffee here and there. So it was a really interesting kind of experience. So once I started turning to the left, I noticed this monkey was really just sitting there. He had just finished eating one of the bananas that a tourist gave him and was just kind of staring at the sun. He was just like peeking left, right, and everything, and then just kind of looking straight forward. So snap this shot. This is the raw image. So overall, not unhappy with this from the start. Like a decent raw file, came out looking very good, still a little bit bland, but at the same time doesn't really capture what I wanted out of this. Obviously the sun was very brilliant orange, everything was very warm, and everything in this raw looks very, very flat. So we'll jump right into the preset over here. You know, a warm touch. Now obviously, once again, I designed this one specifically for this photo, this type of experience. And then this is where something like using graduated filters can mean a world of a difference in terms of the direction or flow of a photo. So first I'm going to kind of jump right into it. We'll do warm touch. This is kind of the final edited version of what this photo looks like. But the way that you can use this is to add more directional light to any photo. So we looked at that just a second ago with mountain clarity, with a photo not intended for this. And if I add warm touch to it, now we have this burst of light coming from the right hand side of the photo, swifting down to the left, and that's a nice kind of warm touch of like the sun is obviously to the right. It's warming up one side of the mountain while the other side is still cool. So you get that kind of polarity of warm and cold. Now, obviously here it's all warm and everything, but one of the things I mentioned is that with these graduated filters, so let's jump over here, graduated filters, I have this nice warm one right here, and if we change the direction of it, we can actually start to make the sun come from behind him. And we can start to make it look like the sun was on his back, basically. Now, obviously, the sun being on his back, that's not very interesting because it's just him staring away from the sun. But the point is, these graduated filters have a lot of features and functionality to them that can help make or break a photo. So I'm a big fan of using them wherever possible. Obviously, I used a dark one here at the bottom, and that was basically just to make sure that we weren't focusing on the banana as much. And then obviously this dark one over here, this is literally just so we can, once again, add a little bit more contrast between light and dark. And with the monkey being in the middle, staring off into the sun, is a very, albeit I would say happy, but also grumpy looking monkey staring off into the sunrise. And once again, let's go back to this one, not intended for that photo, or for this photo. Let's go into our graduated filters and let's basically swap where the sun is coming from. So here, move it over. Now I've never tried this before on this photo before, so this might take a few seconds, but we basically start to get an idea of what we're looking at here. Now we want to follow the ridge because obviously the sun would kind of stop around this ridge right here. And now we're starting to get an idea. Let's get rid of these things. All right. Overall, not bad. I think I liked it the other way, going from right to left. So undo. There we go. But actually, I really like the photo as is. Now originally we'll go over 2 more edits and then we'll finish this up. We had looked at this photo here. Now this photo, obviously, like I said, I personally adore this photo. It took a lot of time and effort to really make this come out, but I also wanted to show for those that are not fans of black and whites or that kind of edgy, gritty detail. Let's reset this back to the original. Let's crop it. Just to keep this moving along. Now for those of you that want a little bit more realism, just go in and let's go to mountain clarity. Let's add mountain clarity to this one. Now it's a little too harsh and detailed, like it wouldn't be that blue, that dark, but is at least a good starting point to remove haze, increase the shadows, and really start looking into, let's actually change this graduated filter a little bit and let's make this just a little bit less intense, a little bit more of a blend. And that's not so bad as well. Interesting part, once we remove that clarity, that haze, a little bit of realism starts to go away. It almost looks like it was made in a 3D model like Bryce or something like that. But overall, very happy with this photo. Again, just if you want that kind of realism, there you are. Now let's go into one that is going to be heavily edited basically for colors and tones. So let me go into the crop real quick. We'll just kind of punch this in. I actually want this to be a little bit wider. There we go. And this was shot in Gangti Valley in Bhutan. This is on a full day hike. Now you'll have to ignore some of the brown spots here. This is a pasture. There's a little cow over here, but all these little spots are actually poop. So we'll have to spot remove them out at a later date. But what we're looking at here basically is really great backdrop, clouds, sky, nice centerpiece of the valley. It's not quite center, and it's not quite level. Let's start there. I won't futz around with this too much. Let's get to the point. So now we're looking at what can I do with this photo basically. So once again, this is the full raw image. I don't do things like, you know, stopping down 2 full stops or 1 full stop to preserve shadows and detail or to not blow out my highlights. I try to expose for what I'm actually shooting. Now on this side though, I'm pointed directly at the sun. So shadows are unavoidable and darkness and everything. So fingers crossed that a good raw can actually save this. And I tried to do double exposures. I was happy working with the individual photos themselves. So let's kind of jump in. Let's pop into black and white 1. Obviously, right off the bat, not unhappy with this. I would definitely change some of those radio filters and the graduated filters to expand out and show the horizon more, but those clouds really just become amazing centerpieces for that, you know. But I want that tree to be a little bit more of that centerpiece. There's a little too much darkness in all of this. So black and white details is going to be even darker, a little bit more dramatic, like, you know. And yeah, there's some cool stuff you could do here where you have that ray of sunlight coming out and you can spread it out so that you can look at the way the graduated filters are. Feudal vintage, not bad, you know, that kind of blue orange deal. There we go. All right, now let's go back into warm touch. Not bad. Really opens up some of the areas of the sky quite a bit. Nice kind of, once again, orange blue tones. That cow actually becomes part of the scenery, though because of the way that it looks like it's a tiny cow, not, you know, hundreds of feet away. Mountain clarity, let's just basically make it pop a little bit more. So original, mountain clarity, nice, not bad, good pop on the clouds. Still very dark though, but if I really want to make this moody green is what I'd end up using on this one. Now this is one, obviously a good start to it. It's got those green grayish tones. And then one thing I definitely do is I would start to modify this one. This is one of those graduate or one of those presets that is a bit more focused on the color science over the tools. This only has one graduated filter in it. And overall, fairly happy with this one. Like I said, I would go in and start removing some of that poop. My laptop is starting to seize up trying to do all this stuff and also record. And I might even remove the cow as well, because she is fairly distracting. All right. So here we are, quick kind of 1-2 punch editing. That's what the presets are designed for. Hopefully this helps inspire a few things and what you can and can't do with these. Hopefully it gives you an idea of what to do with your own photos and how to use graduated and radial filters. If you do have any other questions, feel free to email me directly. My email is listed in the description below. I have time codes for all of this as well, so if you need to rehash one of these, what to do with them, I will go ahead and click it and we'll go right through it again. Other than that, thank you very much.